Hi everyone, welcome back to The Learning Gardener. If you haven't been here before, my name is Pip and we are trying to get ready for chickens. Yesterday I spent all afternoon moving all of this wood. I wasn't really sure where I was going to put it because I'd originally thought I was going to put the chook pen here, and then I thought, because this is the bottom of the slope of my yard, this area kind of gets the most moisture when it rains. Our soil tends to hold a lot of moisture anyway because we back onto a creek bed. And the other issue with this spot is, despite the fact that it's getting a little bit of sun now, as the sun moves around a bit more in winter, this particular corner gets none, which means we got to move the wood pile because that's the only area down this very back part of my garden that actually gets some sun. And so yesterday I spent a bit of time moving this wood. I have to have this done in the next few days. It really has to be done today because I've got to go to Sydney. I've got some stuff happening, and the local chook sale happens once a year and is happening on Sunday. And my friend and her kids are going to be around on Saturday to help me put the run together. The Rio mesh is arriving any minute to put, and that's what I'm making the run out of. And then I've got wood chip mulch arriving to do like a deep layer in the run, and that's arriving on Saturday. So there's lots of things happening, and I've still got to build the chicken house, which I'm picking up when I'm in Sydney, because with the chicken sale being on Sunday, I don't have time to build my own, nor do I have the skills or the equipment currently. Now I have to apologize for the background noise. We had a down tree in this area and they're dealing with it because we've had 3 days of storm, and we had something like 200 mils of rain, which is absolutely nothing compared to what people in Queensland have been dealing with. They are completely underwater in some areas. I was watching something this morning where some poor farmers, like, the river has gone from being a standard river to being 50 kilometers wide, and they were saying, how are the cattle going to swim through that? So it has made me very grateful for the fact that we got some rain. Even if we did get battered by the winds and we had some branches down and stuff like that, it's still nothing by comparison to what everyone in Queensland is going through, and this property really held up pretty well. But the background noise is storm clear up because it was quite a storm that rolled through town. Even though I had originally been planning for this chicken project to be more of like something I did over winter while things were a little bit calmer, I am actually grateful that it's happening now, because I think as a result of these floods, I think the price of meat is going to escalate significantly. So it'll be nice to have a home source of protein available in the form of eggs. I was thinking of getting 3 chickens, now I'm thinking of getting 5. Who knows, we'll see. But we've still got a lot of work to do because I stopped yesterday, both because we were losing daylight hours and because as I was loading this second bin, there was a huge spider the size of my hand. So yeah, that kind of made me run inside pretty quickly. But the other thing, in a way, it was good that I stopped, because this morning I suddenly realized that the end of this crate is actually where I was thinking about putting the run. So I think it'll work as the very back corner of the run. So if the run starts from there and goes forward, and that will mean the chickens will get more light and they're up on even higher ground. So hopefully it's all good, and we've just got to get everything moved, and hopefully we can avoid more hand-sized spiders, baby snakes, because there's been some baby black snakes in the area and they probably went in there to hibernate in the rain, and we need to avoid the big bitey black ants that have been around. But got a lot of work to do. So one of the benefits of stuffing up where I was going to put this, I really should have just rotated it to the side, has been that because the chicken run will actually start here now, it means that I don't have to move the rest of this wood. I just have to move this and 2 other crates. I want to keep 1 crate free so that down the track I can potentially try and build the chicken hutch, like a larger chicken hutch than what I've ordered. What I've ordered should be okay for 4 or 5 from memory. I need to recheck. Certainly need to recheck before we go chicken shopping on Sunday. But yeah, I think this is going to work out really well. It's quite a nice slope down, and then all of a sudden here it really drops, so it's actually going to work out well. And the reason it dropped here is because we were originally going to put the garden shed here and then decided not to. But yeah, there's still a lot of wood to be moved. The nice thing is about the rain is it gave me time to think about where I'm going to put this wood, and I went back and forth because around the base of the tree it's quite steep and sloped, and obviously there's a lot of roots and things. It's not necessarily an ideal place to stack some wood, but I suspect I'm probably going to end up stacking some around there. But it kind of let me realize that if I put some wood along here and I don't put a lot, it's actually not going to facilitate Birdie from jumping over the fence, particularly when motivation is high and the big male kangaroo is out back. She's not going to be able to get over here at all. She's not going to be able to stand up there and poke her head over. She can still obviously climb up here and have a look over, but she can't get over. It also means that there's a nice flat area here for me to bring the wheelbarrow in, load up, and then take it up to the house. I'm still going to be able to put some wood along here and still happily get in on both sides and get the wood. And the even better thing I thought of is that this kind of provides a bit of a dig barrier, so it makes it less likely that something from the outside in the bush that's behind this fence will dig under the fence, because it'll just come up into wood to come in and find the chickens. So it's kind of like by proxy, a bit more of a predator proofing. It's obviously not perfect because it's not going to go the full length of the fence, but we've got a lot of tree roots and plumbing down that way, and I think there's some old concrete pavers under the door, but I can't remember. But still, it's better than a kick in the pants. But it's quite nice to have this organized structure. Something I liked about this was that it kind of formed a wood room square around the outdoor fireplace, but now it's going to be down the back here in an area I can't really use that much. All that needed was we had to move the tree that was here, which, to be honest, I'm not really fussed if it survives or not, but if it does, it'll provide some shade for the chickens in summer once it gets bigger, and it'll lose its leaves and give them things to dig around in the cooler months. But let's get on to moving the wood and hopefully not finding any critters. A couple of months ago, my dad came down. It was actually probably only like four to 6 weeks ago. He came down and he did the job of filling these metal crates with wood for me because I was all freaked out by the snakes. And when he did that, I forgot until I just uncovered it now that he talked about cutting in to the crate and opening up a hole so that during winter I could easily grab dry wood out without having to take the whole cover system tarp setup off. So I think when I have finished moving this wood, it's a little unfortunate I didn't decide I had my heart set on chickens beforehand, because otherwise when he filled the crates he could have filled them down there rather than me now moving it again. But I think I'm going to keep this one for the hutch, because one of the things that I wanted to do was, when I have time to build a hutch, was to build it so it was sitting on top of one of these so that the poop could just fall straight down. And I got from the tip the other day a big bread like a bakery tray that I was going to put in underneath here to catch the poop to make it easier to pull out. So he's already done part of the job for me, so I'll leave this one spare as the either the first one to be emptied for winter or the one that stays empty depending on how we go moving the wood. But we've made some good progress with the wood, but there's still rather a lot to be moved. I was just moving the wood and I looked up and I suddenly realized that this is not just a ball of paper. Somebody's been in here building a little secure nest. So cute. I kind of feel bad because now I'm going to relocate it, but you can see they've put quite a bit of effort into using paper and actually bamboo and bits of grass to create the nest. That's really cool. we have moved a pretty serious amount of wood, but my arms are starting to fail. My will to go on is being affected by spiders, and we're running out of daylight. And yeah, still wood to move. So I still need to obviously move this, and I need to move the wood that's sort of from here forward. So I'm not going to move all of this. That can be behind the coop, and what I'm hoping is that having wood behind and beside will provide the chickens with a little bit of privacy from my dogs, especially Birdie, who's going to be very, very interested in the chickens. When we walk, there's a house nearby that has free-ranging chickens in their front yard, and if they're not moving, Birdie's fine. If they're moving, she just lunges and she goes flying on the lead and smack back down on the ground. It's always a bit of an event. So I am hoping that we provide a little bit of a visual block both for Birdie and for the chickens. I am sure Birdie is going to be very fascinated, but hopefully after a few days she'll bugger off and leave them alone. But yeah, I'm out of energy for today. So we've got to move tomorrow. I've got to go in town to get chicken supplies, and I've got an appointment in town, and then I'll have to come back, move the rest of the wood. I need to put the stakes in, number one, so that I'm not wasting everybody's time when they're coming to help me on Saturday, and number two, so that I know where I can actually get the stakes in, because it might be a little bit fiddly because of the tree roots, to actually find a place where I can wallop them in a good 30 centimeters or so. I need to get a couple more stakes in town tomorrow. All the chicken feed, garbage bins to put it in, drinking devices, all the things. And then that way on Friday, when I get back and Saturday when I get back from Sydney, I have the coop to build. We've got the arches to erect. I've got to put on the end pieces, make a doorway, and set up all the water and stuff before we go chicken shopping on Sunday. So, you know, small things to do still. But I'm going to come back tomorrow and we're going to carry on, because this video can't just be me moving wood, because that is no fun for anybody. So we need to get things done a little bit more and get ready for our chickens. It's the next day and we are back at it again. We are getting a much later start than I was hoping, because I had to go in town to get supplies for the chickens and I had an appointment, and of course everything in town took about 200% longer than I was anticipating. So now it's like nearly 4 p.m. and we are only just getting started, and tomorrow I'm basically going to be in Sydney all day, and then the next day is the day my friend and her family are going to come and help me set up the archways, and I've got to snake, mice and rat proof it and set up all the water feeders that I picked up and do all the things for bringing chickens home the next day. So yeah, they're laughing at me because they don't know how I'm going to get it done, and neither do I at this point. Really, I'm really over moving wood. Not because physically I'm struggling, I'm just over it. So I'm really hopeful that we can get this done this afternoon. I'm really hopeful that we can get at least the stakes in the ground, even if not the rodent proofing done. But there's still more wood to move. Just gotta keep going. we have moved a lot of wood. The wood used to start here, and as you can see, we've cleared a massive space, but I don't want to move any more wood than I absolutely have to. So we're kind of at that point where I need to double check to make sure I don't have to move anymore. So the plan is that Rafi let me measure. Come on, Stepples, out of the way. So we're going to have it about 3 meters wide. Hi, Raf. So 3 meters. That's what we need, Rafi, is a marker for 3 meters. So obviously this isn't going to be 100% an exact science because we've got an enthusiastic dog involved. So ballpark 3 meters, and that lets us make use of the existing mound and the old tree roots underneath here, which will provide some protection from anything or anyone trying to potentially dig in, including hopefully foxes. I was talking to someone today about foxes and I was like, oh gosh, please, I can't deal with foxes and dogs and chickens and Rafi shoving his tennis ball in my face at every opportunity. Anyway, so if it's going to be roughly 3 meters wide, I want the door to be perhaps on the lower side of the mound, so it allows it to swing, and so I can pop a couple of pavers underneath there to stop anybody from digging. And then we're going to have 3 panels. From the very little evidence I have, video evidence, the chicken coop really needs to come forward to be on top of this mound, because this mound is where there was definitely some sunshine sighted in winter when we first moved in. Last year I couldn't tell, too much rain, but now from that brick we need to measure 6 meters back. Let's see if we get given a chance, hey? So I'm going to put the front of that tape measure underneath the brick. There we go. At least that pup proofs it to a certain extent. Okay, so we need 6.6 meters because each arbor, each Rio mesh panel from Concreting Supply Store is 2.2 meters wide, I'm pretty sure. What are we up to? 5 meters. Oh, we're so close to not having to move wood. So if Rafa will get out of the way, which just doesn't seem likely, we are at 5 meters 50. So I still got about a meter of wood to move. Good times. I don't want to bring the coop forward anymore to cut into the garden. I mean, I could, but I don't want to, because then there's still this area down the back which is then kind of not useful for anything other than wood stacking, which is useful because at least, again, the wood is going to make it more predator proof, but let's move a bit more timber. I think we've got enough room now. I think we've probably got, careful Rafi, because you just hurt yourself. I think we've probably got about, yeah, we've got 660. So I'm just going to leave this here just so I get a rough guide. Now I don't have time or light or energy to put all the stakes in, and I've still got some of the stakes in the car, but I want to try and put a couple of the stakes in mostly for my own peace of mind that I can get some stakes in to hold the Rio mesh, because to be honest, if we have moved all of this wood and the old tree roots underneath here are so extensive that I can't get any stakes in or in deep enough, I might cry. And I know that won't be the first time you've seen that on this channel, but oh God, I just dread the thought. So we're going to try and get a couple of them in now, and then I'm going to take Rafa in before he wrecks himself any further. Thankfully we managed to do pretty well. Most of them have gone all the way in. This one I suspect either needs to be shifted slightly or I just need to sleep before I do any more, because my arms are dead. I find that mallet quite hard to work with. But oh, thank God they went in. And it's one of those things that in a way it's bigger and smaller than I thought. Like I thought 3 meters, even though I'm always out here striding it, I thought 3 meters would be wider, and I wonder if some of that is the effect of the curve. So I don't want to hit in too many more until I have time to play with the measurements tomorrow, until I have time also to get all the other stakes that we got today out of the car. But this is just enough to give me hope that it can be done. And I think, to be honest, like even if I'm exhausted tomorrow after a full day trip to Sydney, which is a bare minimum of 6 hours driving, I should still be able to come down and wallop some of these in, or at the very least it's not too much of an ask on Saturday to delay 15 minutes to put up the arbors while I put the other stakes in. So I'm really, really happy with finally moving all the wood and starting to get this set up. It's kind of crazy because, as I said, 3 meters doesn't look as wide as I thought it would be here, and yet even when I was down here and there's no mound, you know, it's 3 big strides. And to be honest, I know I asked ChatGPT and my architect mother a bunch of times to check the maths, that with a 6 meter long Rio mesh archway, if we had it 3 meters wide, that it would be head height to be able to walk through here. And I just visually couldn't believe it, because I know how narrow the archways that we have in the rest of the garden out of the Rio mesh are. But looking at the one that's just there and looking at this space, I totally think it'll be fine. And I would rather potentially give up a little bit of width to not have to stoop on the edges, so that's okay. But 6 meters, well, I guess it's 6.6, so it's kind of 7 meters, looks a lot longer this way than I thought it would. But I think it's going to be a nice space for 3 to 5 little chickens. And the nice thing is there's quite a bit of leaves here for them to dig through. So the plan, let's see if it works, is, and to be honest, down here I just kicked a lot of the degrading bark that I had stored for fire purposes, but it's kind of half broken down. I just kicked that in and they can deal with that. There's a whole bunch of leaves here. I'll probably just rake them all up so that they can have a leaf section, and then I'm going to dump, I've got to mow the lawn as well, and we've got the lawn clippings that we saved from last lawn mow, and we'll dump them here, and all the zinnias we cut back, the busted up sunflower. Then I want to have the rest pretty much covered in like a pine bark mulch. Because this area is grassed in, I reckon I'm going to leave this grass until they've done their work through here. They can deal with that, and then once that's done I'll cover that in mulch. But the mulch is arriving on Saturday, and I've just done a bulk order because delivery fees, you know. So hopefully that's going to be enough to do what we need to do in here, top up the pittosporum privacy trees that have fallen over and some of the areas that need a bit of mulch, and then in amongst all of this weedy stuff we've got some old broken down rotting chunks of wood which generally get used in a fire pit, which is to be unearthed at some other time, and I want to put some of them in here so they have high areas for if it's raining, but also whatever bugs are living in there. And then I've got one chunk of wood over here that's too big for the fireplace, and I think I've got one or two others lying around that I was waiting for someone with a chainsaw in the event that someone with a chainsaw just happened to turn up, like maybe not, is it Michael in that horror movie? Yeah, whatever. Anyway, in the event that someone turned up with a chainsaw, I was going to get them to chainsaw these bits of wood, but yeah, that's whatever. We're just going to put those chunks of wood in here, and then I can sit on them when I'm visiting the chickens, and then periodically roll them over. There are so many curl grubs, and there were 2 cute frogs in here, and so many bugs that have been living underneath here. I hope a lot of them stay in here so that the girls can go nuts. I'm also tomorrow at my parents' house going to be picking up some more autumn leaves from their house, so hopefully this section will be a whole kind of like go nuts for your leaves, go nuts digging through the seeds. We've also got carrots that have gone to seed we can pop in, so I'm really hoping that the chickens are going to be really happy here, and that they can find lots of juicy grubs in the ground, and that this is going to be a great spot for them. And hopefully the way the wood is set up is going to mean that the back of their what's it called, enclosure, their run, is backed by wood, and the back side, it's not going to stop Birdie from like being like pressed up against the window having a look at them, but at least it'll stop any critters from digging in underneath. So then it's more just the front side that we need to worry about. So at least that gives me time to kind of see if, you know, like we get chickens on Sunday and by Tuesday a fox turns up. Let's hope not, because I just don't feel like I can deal with that. But again, it's also working out because this area gets hit with a decent bit of sun, and I'm pretty sure this will at least get some sun in winter. And because this whole area is higher ground, it does slope in a bit down here. I think this will work as a natural trench. I also want to dig, careful Rafi, because it slopes down and away here and it really drops here. I want to put their house here because it's kind of the most level area, but I want to put in a little, I want to say French drain, but it's not really a French drain, with what pebbles I have left that I got for free that we used in the trench that we made over there last winter, and that are just sitting on the driveway, and some that are over there that my nephew chucked over there that makes whippersnippering over there a real nightmare, but really need to deal with them anyway. But just kind of put them down the back to kind of facilitate drainage down the back. But hopefully this is going to work, and thank God we got it done today. But it is like legit sunset now, and we are going to go inside, call it quits, and get ready for a very early start tomorrow to head to Sydney, and a very long day tomorrow. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. I hope this video has been alright, even though it's mostly just me moving wood. Hope you guys have been able to see stuff, because I've mostly just been moving the wood and hoping that the camera was catching things. But yeah, if you've made it this far, thanks so much for hanging out with us, and hopefully we'll see you in the next one.